The noise that steals your peace. There's a quiet kind of suffering most of us carry, every single day. It doesn't scream. It doesn't crash in like a storm. It seeps in through a comment someone made, a message we didn't want to read, a moment we felt judged or ignored. And before we know it, we're carrying the weight of everyone else's noise. We live in a world where reaction is constant. Someone posts, we respond. Someone criticizes, we defend. Someone expects, we perform. But deep inside, there's a voice, gentle and steady, whispering, "You don't need to react to everything." That voice is the beginning of peace. Because the truth is, not everything deserves your energy. Not every opinion matters. Not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply let go. Ignoring isn't weakness. It's clarity. It's strength with restraint. It's standing in the storm without letting the wind define you. The Stoics knew this well. They lived in chaotic times, under pressure in politics, through betrayal and exile. And yet, they remained still. Not because they didn't care, but because they cared about the right things, and they chose peace over noise, wisdom over impulse. So today, as you watch this video, I invite you to pause, to breathe, to ask yourself a simple but profound question. What would my life feel like if I mastered the art of ignoring? Not to escape the world, but to live fully in it, without letting it steal the quiet power within you. Let's begin. Part 1. The Modern Epidemic. Overreaction. Overstimulation. Why you feel so tired all the time, even when nothing is wrong. You wake up. Before your feet even touch the floor, there's a notification pulling at your attention. An opinion. A headline. A problem that isn't even yours. And suddenly, without realizing it, your day is no longer yours either. You react to texts, to emails, to someone's silence, to someone else's drama, to the pressure to be available, responsive, likable, perfect. But here's something you've probably felt deep down. You are exhausted, not because you're doing too much, but because you're feeling too much about things that don't matter. You've been conditioned to overreact, to prove yourself, to defend your worth, to carry emotions that were never yours to begin with. It's not your fault. The world around you is loud by design. It rewards urgency, not reflection. It pushes you to respond fast, not think deeply. And every click, every scroll, every small tug at your emotions, it costs you something. Your focus, your calm, your power. You've probably been told that to care is to react. But Stoic wisdom whispers something different. That real strength is measured not by how loudly you speak, but by how quietly you can hold your center. That you don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't need to reply to every critic. You don't need to internalize every story that passes your screen. What would happen if, just for one day, you stopped reacting to things that didn't align with your peace? Imagine how much energy you'd reclaim. Not because you're ignoring reality, but because you're choosing what deserves your spirit. Right now, the world wants you to be in a constant state of alert. And it works, because it knows the more distracted you are, the less grounded you'll be. But here's the truth. You are not fragile. You are not a puppet to every emotion or every opinion thrown your way. You are capable of holding stillness, even when everything around you shakes. That stillness isn't numbness, it's presence, it's awareness without absorption. It's saying, I see this, I feel this, but I choose not to lose myself in it. That's what the Stoics practiced. Not detachment from life, but from the unnecessary chaos that tries to steal the beauty of life. You may not realize it, but every time you choose silence over reaction, stillness over panic, focus over frenzy, you're not just surviving the noise, you're rising above it. This is not about escaping the world. It's about mastering yourself within it. And it begins with one powerful choice: to no longer let overstimulation define who you are or how you feel, because you've been overstimulated long enough. And now, it's time to come home to something quieter, stronger, and deeply yours. Your peace is not a luxury, it's a discipline, a wisdom, a path, and it's already inside you, waiting. Part 2. What the Stoics actually meant by indifference. It's not about being cold, it's about being free. You've heard the word before, indifference. Maybe it sounded cold, detached, even heartless. But that's not what the Stoics meant, and deep down, you've probably felt that too. That longing to care deeply, just not about everything. You see, Stoic indifference isn't a denial of emotion. It's not apathy, it's alignment. It's the quiet strength to say, this matters, that doesn't. I choose where my soul goes. Right now you might feel like you're stretched thin, trying to care about every crisis, every headline, every mood swing of those around you. But you were never built to carry the whole world in your chest. The Stoics didn't tell you to stop feeling. They asked you to feel wisely, to learn the difference between what's within your control and what isn't. And that difference, it's the space where peace is born. When Epictetus spoke of indifference, he didn't mean turning your back on people or life. He meant something far more powerful. That your worth isn't defined by outcomes. That your peace isn't tied to praise or blame. That your dignity isn't something the world gives or takes. You've probably spent years attaching your emotions to things outside your reach. A job title, someone's approval, the ever-shifting weather of circumstance. But what if your real power begins the moment you stop chasing what was never yours to control? This isn't about ignoring pain. It's about no longer becoming it. It's about standing in the storm and realizing you are not the storm. Indifference, in its true Stoic form, is a kind of love. Not the fragile kind that needs everything to go right, but the steady kind that says, I am here. I will act with honor. But I will not lose myself in what I cannot change. You might worry that if you care less, you'll become less. But the opposite is true. When you stop reacting to every tug on your emotions, you become more you. More present, more grounded, more alive in what actually matters. Think about it. How much of your energy has been spent chasing things you can't hold? How much peace have you traded for someone else's opinion? How many moments have you lost trying to fix what was never yours to fix? Now imagine the freedom of stepping back, not to escape life, but to re-enter it from a place of calm authority. That's what the Stoics were offering you. Not a wall, but a window. A view into a life where your peace isn't shaken by every ripple on the surface. You don't need to numb yourself. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to remember. Your attention is sacred. Your presence is precious. Your calm is a decision. And each time you practice indifference, not from bitterness but from clarity, you reclaim a part of yourself that the noise of the world tried to steal. So no, indifference doesn't make you less human. It makes you more whole. Because when you stop giving your energy to what doesn't serve you, you finally have the strength to show up fully for what does. And maybe, just maybe, that's where your real transformation begins. Part 3. The 3 things you must learn to ignore. Because peace is not found in what you add, but in what you release. There's a kind of strength no one taught you in school. The strength to not respond, to not engage, to not let it in. And the truth is, if you want to protect your inner peace, not as a luxury, but as a necessity, you must learn to ignore 3 things. 3 things that have been quietly draining your energy, pulling your attention away from what actually matters, and keeping you from becoming the calm, grounded person you were meant to be. 1. Ignore the opinions that were never meant to define you. Not every voice deserves space in your mind. Not every comment is a reflection of your truth. You don't owe a reaction to every judgment, every glance, every passing word. You've spent so much of your life wondering how you're seen, worrying whether you measure up. But that's not your job. Your job is to live with clarity and conviction, to be rooted in your values, not swayed by the winds of public opinion. Seneca once wrote, "What you think of yourself is much more important than what others think of you." Let that sink in. Their view of you is filtered through their pain, their limits, their perspective. It was never yours to carry. You were not born to be understood by everyone. You were born to be real. So ignore what doesn't come from love, truth, or wisdom. And keep walking. 2. Ignore the chaos that isn't yours to fix. You've likely been taught that caring means getting involved. That love means stepping into every fire, even if it burns you. But there's a line you must learn to draw. The line between compassion and self-destruction. You can be supportive without being consumed. You can offer presence without absorbing pain. Not everything chaotic around you requires your intervention. Some things are not yours to solve. Some people are not ready to heal, and some situations are simply storms you must let pass. There is no peace in playing savior to everyone but yourself. So give what you can where it matters. Then, let go. You're allowed to protect your energy. You're allowed to choose peace over participation. 3. Ignore the noise that tries to steal your focus. You wake up to notifications. You scroll through opinions. You absorb 1,000 voices before you've even heard your own. It's exhausting, isn't it? In a world that profits off your attention, focus is rebellion, and silence is sacred. The Stoics didn't live in an age of smartphones, but they understood something timeless, that your mind becomes what you feed it. So guard it, filter it, choose what enters. Not everything deserves your time. Not every update deserves your presence. Not every digital fire needs your fuel. Imagine what you could build what you could become if you weren't constantly distracted. Imagine how calm your life would feel if you reclaimed your focus, if you trained your mind to return again and again to what actually nourishes your soul. You were not born to be a sponge. You were born to be a flame, steady, intentional, and quietly powerful. When you learn to ignore these three things, you don't become passive. You become precise. You begin to live on purpose, not pushed around by noise, not dictated by opinion, not dragged into storms that are not yours. So take a breath, turn inward. And remember, your energy is yours, your peace is yours, and you never have to give either away just to prove that you care. You are not here to react. You are here to respond. With clarity, with courage, with calm. Part 4. The inner power of strategic ignoring. Because choosing what you ignore is choosing who you become. There is a quiet kind of power that doesn't shout, doesn't fight, doesn't rush to defend itself. It simply withdraws, calmly, deliberately, with clarity. That power lives inside you. It's the ability to strategically ignore what doesn't serve your peace, your purpose, or your growth. You see, ignoring is not weakness. It's not apathy. It's not about pretending things don't exist. It's about recognizing what deserves your energy and what quietly robs you of it. You don't need to respond to every fire. You've been taught to be reactive, to always answer, to always prove. But there is wisdom in restraint. You don't owe your presence to everything that demands it. Sometimes silence is not avoidance. It's elevation. When someone throws chaos at you, when the noise of the world rises, you get to choose. Not every battle is yours. Not every invitation to drama must be accepted. Strategic ignoring is not giving up. It's choosing where you show up. And more importantly, why? You free your mind by deciding what doesn't belong in it. So much of your stress is not from what happens, but from what you keep replaying. What you carry long after the moment has passed. What you let echo in your thoughts, over and over again. But here's the truth. You get to decide what lives in your mind. You can gently close the door on thoughts that drain you. You can say, not now, not anymore. And that's a profound kind of freedom. Strategic ignoring allows you to keep your mental space clean, not cluttered by every insecurity, every criticism, every noise. It teaches your mind to rest in stillness, to sharpen its focus, to remember what truly matters. You reclaim your life by choosing what to care about. Your time, your attention, your emotions, these are limited. You cannot give them to everything and still live with depth. You cannot care about everything and remain sane, and you were not made to. When you strategically ignore what is meaningless, you make space for what is sacred. When you stop chasing every distraction, you begin to hear your own voice again. And that voice, it's gentle, it's grounded, but it holds more truth than the world ever will. The Stoics called this ataraxia, a state of unshakable tranquility. Not because life is quiet, but because you are. That's what you're building. With every intentional act of ignoring, you are reclaiming your focus. You are teaching your nervous system that it is safe not to react. You are mastering the art of peace. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to chase what doesn't feed your soul. You only need to know who you are and what's worth your energy. And when you do, you'll find that some things just don't deserve a response. That's not arrogance. That's inner power. That's clarity. That's wisdom. So breathe, turn inward, and remind yourself, I don't have to carry what doesn't belong to me. That simple truth might just change your life. Part 5. How to practice the art of ignoring. Because mastery begins not in doing more, but in choosing less. Let's be honest, ignoring sounds simple. But it's not easy. You've spent years conditioned to react, to worry, to prove, to chase. And now, this path of stillness, of restraint, of inner clarity, it asks something different from you. Not more effort, but more awareness. Practicing the art of ignoring is not about building walls. It's about learning to open your eyes inward, to pause, to breathe, to ask yourself gently and honestly, does this deserve my energy? Start with space. Even 5 seconds of silence can save you. You don't need to have all the answers in the moment. You don't need to react just because something provokes you. Pause. Feel the urge rise, then let it pass. Give yourself 5 seconds. In those 5 seconds, you remember who you are. You remember that you're not here to be pulled by everything that moves. This is where your power begins. Not in resistance, but in stillness. In the gentle practice of holding yourself, instead of handing yourself away, notice what triggers you. Not to fight it, but to free yourself. There's a pattern to the things that shake you. People's opinions, unsolicited comparisons. That one comment that lingers for hours, for days. The goal is not to shut it out with force. The goal is to see it clearly, without judgment. To say, ah, there you are again. To recognize it, then release it. This is emotional wisdom. You're not cold, you're conscious. Filter the noise. Guard your inputs like your peace depends on it, because it does. Your attention is a sacred thing, but too often you give it away by default. To headlines designed to provoke, to people who love to complain, to content that numbs instead of nourishes. Practice turning down the volume of the world. Unfollow what drains you. Mute the noise. Create quiet pockets in your day where you return to yourself. The less noise you take in, the less noise you'll feel the need to respond to. And suddenly, peace isn't a mystery anymore. It's a choice. Refocus on your values. That's your compass in the chaos. What matters to you? Deeply, truly, kindness, growth. Discipline, love, let that guide you. When someone tries to pull you into gossip, when the world tries to bait your anger, ask yourself, is this aligned with who I want to be? You don't ignore the world because you're above it. You ignore what distracts you from your deeper self. That's not indifference. That's devotion to your truth. Practice gently. You won't get it perfect, and that's okay. You'll still overreact. You'll still get caught in the noise sometimes. But every time you notice it, every time you come back to center, you're growing. You're training your mind to respond with grace instead of urgency. This is not about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming emotionally disciplined, and that takes practice. Small moments. Daily choices. So begin here, with one pause, one deep breath, one brave decision not to feed what drains you. You don't have to do it all at once. You just have to remember, you are allowed to ignore what doesn't lead you home to yourself. Because the art of ignoring is really the art of honoring your time, your energy, your peace, your purpose. Let that be your new practice, and watch how your life begins to change. Part 6. What happens when you master it? Because the real power is not in what you control, but in what no longer controls you. There comes a quiet shift. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't look like a grand transformation. But something inside you begins to change. And you feel it, like the first breath after a long underwater silence. This is what it feels like when you master the art of strategic ignoring. You don't become colder, you become clearer. You stop spending your energy proving, pleasing, or reacting, and start using it to live fully, deliberately. You become emotionally unshakable, not by force, but by focus. Suddenly, things that once rattled you, they lose their grip. That passive-aggressive email, you read it and move on. That harsh opinion from someone who doesn't even know you. You see it for what it is, background noise. You're not hardened, you're just not hijacked. You still feel, but your feelings don't run your life anymore. Your choices do. Your values do. Your vision does. And that is power. You gain back time and the energy to invest it in what actually matters. Before, your hours may have slipped away worrying, replaying, explaining. Now, you reclaim that time. You begin to notice moments again. You savor your morning coffee. You sit in silence without itching for a distraction. You listen more. You love more fully. You're not always somewhere else, mentally battling what doesn't belong to you. You're here, rooted, present. And the peace that comes from that is not just calm, it's sacred. Your boundaries stop being walls. They become invitations to your truth. When you master what to ignore, you also master what to allow. You become intentional about who gets your time, who earns your trust, what deserves your full attention. And that clarity doesn't isolate you. It frees you, because now when you say yes, you mean it. And when you say no, you're not cruel. You're clear. The people around you begin to sense it too. They respect the quiet strength you carry. Because it's real, it's not for show, it's built. You begin to lead your life from the inside out, no longer tossed by waves of external validation, no longer enslaved to the chaos of what could happen. You've learned to hold your ground, and more than that, you've learned to hold yourself. This is where your confidence grows. Not from achievements or applause, but from a deeper knowing that you can walk through life with intention, with dignity, with presence. You don't need to react to own your worth. You don't need to fight to protect your peace. You've already chosen it, and that choice rewrites everything. So, what happens when you master it? You don't become someone else. You become more you, stripped of the noise, the pressure, the constant pull, more aligned, more alive. And one day, you'll look back at the things you used to chase, the things that once consumed you. And you'll smile, not with regret, but with gratitude, because it all led you here, to this quiet, to this strength, to this clarity that cannot be taken, only chosen. And now, it's yours. Conclusion. As you reach the end of this journey, take a moment to close your eyes and feel the quiet power that lies within you. You have learned that mastering the art of ignoring isn't about shutting out the world or becoming detached. It's about choosing where your energy goes and protecting your inner peace with intention and care. Remember that every decision to ignore what doesn't serve you is a step toward a calmer, more focused life. You are reclaiming your time, safeguarding your thoughts, and building a fortress of serenity that no external chaos can breach. There is profound strength in knowing that you don't have to respond to every shout, every opinion, or every distraction that comes your way. Now, envision a day where you wake up and choose what deserves your attention. Imagine walking through life with the quiet confidence that comes from being in control of your mind. Every moment you choose silence over noise, mindfulness over impulse, you craft a life that is deeply your own. This journey isn't about escaping the world. It's about stepping into it with purpose, clarity, and wisdom. You have transformed how you interact with the world by focusing on what truly matters: your growth, your peace, your purpose. No longer will you be swayed by superficial drama or endless distractions. You will instead cultivate a life of intentional stillness and inner strength. As you move forward, let your newfound focus guide you. Embrace each day with the understanding that you hold the keys to your own happiness and serenity. Carry this wisdom in your heart and share it quietly with those who might also need the courage to protect their own peace. If this message has resonated with you, I invite you to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. How will you begin to reclaim your inner space? The power to choose is yours, and that choice can lead you to a life of true inner peace and fulfillment.